This one's nice as well.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. I only know because.
Ah, good. Okay, so hold on. So are the eighth notes who has the melody? Are the eighth notes the melody? Oh my gosh. Okay, the one, two, 1, 2, 3, 4. Dum, 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 dum. Pick it up. Dum, dum. Pick it up. Dum. Okay, one. Yes. Too slow. How about da, dum, 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 dum. we should skip to something else. We could do green sleeves from this book. That's a nice arrangement. Yeah.
From this one.
Yes. It's a little more than half.
After the melody.
Right before this one.
That's what I was like,
I think you start alone.
Okay.
Huh? We wish you a Merry Christmas from this one.
Not on their preferred list. It's 40.
It's okay. Well, we might need it. We should do the Christmas cards on the green books. Yeah, those are fun. But let's do the wish you a Merry Christmas. Yeah, this is a fun one. The green book from Thomas. If you feel like it. Whatever you Yeah, there's a Christmas pop section. Sure, we can do that one.
Those are already the pops ones.
That's holiday jazz, and it's this medley right before it. If you go back.
Jazz.
And therefore, before the holiday jazz.
Oh, they have a lot of posters.
There's a lot of yes. They're usually just find each other.
Okay.
The pops are easy.
Okay.
Pops are after jazz. After all of the jazz runs. It's like our Christmas pops for straight.
Let it snow.
Yes.
Okay. Much good.
Yes.
With the
That's swung.
Rotarian.
Yes. And they're all swung. Yeah? Swung. Yep, with the repeat.
So who's the pickup? be on the phone.
Okay. Second one, let us know.
And let's
Take the
do the
repeat.
Yeah, repeat. Okay.
Yes.
We have the pick up. We all have it. Okay. So swan, yeah. Frosty the Snowman.
They're all the same.
Okay. Yeah.
It's all 110.
Yeah. Fun.
With the yes, yes, with the and then you guys are you gonna do the thing? So it's yes. In tempo on 1, 2, 3.
Okay, a march.
You guys start in like half tempo and then odd tempo.
Got it. Okay, how about you?
I don't think I can do it. Go for it.
Good afternoon, and welcome to December 20th, our holiday program. Whether this is the first time joining us as a guest or spouse, or if you've been coming for 40 years, we're glad that you joined us today on this time for us to celebrate, reflect, and just share in fellowship. I want to say a special thank you before we move into the Pledge of Allegiance to Dr. Yi Chun Lin on the violin, violinist Sonia Eastland, violist Loana Galou, and cellist Robbie Earhard with the Sioux Falls Chamber Music Collective. Please join me in giving them a round of applause. And a little bit about the collective. It's a nonprofit organization dedicated to connecting exceptional quality professional musicians and artists to collaborate on projects that are educational, diverse, creative, and inclusive of a variety of cultural and musical influences. And its mission, part of its mission is to make music more accessible. I want to say thank you for making it very accessible for us today and being here with us. So thank you for that. Now I'd ask that you stand and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd ask that you remain standing, and I'm going to have Rotarian Jesse Schmidt come forward to share invocation.
Please join me. Lord, we humbly thank you for your blessings this year to our Rotarians, their families, and their organizations. We ask your grace for our Rotarians that have experienced loss and hardship this year. Thank you for our Rotary guests and speakers that chose to take time to spend it with us this past year, informing us, teaching us, and listening to us. Lord, we pray for continued blessings in the year to come. We ask for healing where healing is needed and comfort where comfort is needed. Please watch over our Rotarians, their families, and friends as they travel over the next holiday. We ask your blessing for those who prepared and served our meal today and whose company we shared. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Jesse, and thank you to the Holiday Inn for hosting our holiday celebration. And for those of you who come on a weekly basis, you're familiar with how we operate our programs. For those of you who are guests, we thought we'd give you a flavor of what our programs are. And really our mission is three things. Our focus is on people, that's our members, programming, bringing insightful, educational programs to our members and to our community. And third is purpose. We've really leaned in around mentoring, the Sioux 52 initiative that the mayor is championing, partnering with the city to help mentor wherever people are at in life. We want to be that broadcasting arm for the mayor's office and for the city to create that culture of mentoring. So that's briefly what Rotary is about. But we want to share a program, and I think this one is timely. Many of you were at the announcement a couple months ago. There's a lot going on in our community, and one of those things that is happening in a big way is right in the middle of our community, and that's at Augustana University. A lot of us have ties to the university, and we wanted to bring in the athletics director to share an update as to their move toward D1 hockey, Midco Ice Arena, and I'm sure they'll cover a number of other topics. So I'm going to go ahead and welcome Josh Morton. Josh Morton was introduced as the new leader of Augustana Athletics in April of 2018 and officially began a month later. Since his introductory press conference, Viking Athletics has continually focused on three cornerstones of the department. One, enhancing the student-athlete experience. Two, being active and engaging with Augustana and Sioux Falls community. And third is winning with integrity. Since May of 2018, Augustana has claimed a pair of NCAA Division II national champions, an individual national champion, and has been honored with 11 academic All-American awards. If you recall, in 2018, the Viking baseball team won its first ever NCAA Division II national championship, and Augustana claimed its 5th team national championship when the softball team won in May of 2019. 2019-20 academic year saw its challenges with COVID-19 pandemic, but it also saw Viking student athletes lead through all 3 phases of Augustana athletics cornerstone values. In 2020, the athletics department created a new philosophy statement tied to the overall mission of Augustana University. In support of Augustana University's mission, Augustana Athletics aims to provide a student athlete-centered experience that is committed to distinction in the classroom, excellence in competition, and faithful service to the community. Prior to joining Augustana, Josh was an assistant athletic director at Michigan State University, and before that served as associate athletics director at North Dakota. UND in North Dakota is actually where he was a walk-on quarterback, was part of several North Central Conference championship teams, and you may or may not be aware, but his father, Don Morton, was a successful college football coach, serving as head coach at North Dakota State, Tulsa, and Wisconsin. And Josh, I understand you were born here in Sioux Falls, while Don was an assistant coach at Augustana. So in many ways, this was a coming home for Josh in 2018. We're excited to have him back in our community and excited to have him here today. Josh and his wife, Robin, reside here in town, and our parents to Luke, Kale, and Sarah Jane. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Rotarian Jason Herrboldt to moderate our conversation today. Thank you.
Thank you, President Tony, and thank you, Rotarians and guests, for joining us today. Years ago, we didn't even have programs at the holiday party, and then last year we did one. And when we were talking about the program for today, we really wanted to keep it light because it's the holiday season. And there isn't really a lighter topic than sitting down and talking to one of our hometown university athletic directors. Josh, as I was preparing for today's conversation, I couldn't help but really think, we were talking about this at the table, you don't have a shortage of things to do. There is a lot going on at Augustana, and there is a lot going on within the athletic department at Augustana. We're going to talk about a host of things today, but the big one, which, you know, I have to assume everybody's heard about Viking Bold and the major initiative that takes the university to 2030. Can you provide this group with kind of an overarching overview of what it is, and then we'll start digging in deeper.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me, first of all. I was a little nervous, Tony, when you said it's supposed to be educational and insightful. That's more pressure than I was thinking of. So yeah, happy to provide. And I think my colleagues from Augustana, John, Pam, and Susie would attest, we don't let grass grow under our leadership. President Stephanie Herseth-Sandlich, since she's come in, we've been doing nothing but looking forward and figuring out ways to strategically grow and continue to elevate Augustana. And so Viking Bold was an initiative approved by our Board of Trustees in 2019. Wouldn't you know, we launched a strategic plan in January of 2020. And who knew that 2 months later we'd have to really maybe take a couple of detours, but really found ourselves right back on the road to 2030. So Viking Bold, the journey to 2030 really has 4 pillars. It's about academic programming, enrollment, strategic scholarships, the physical campus and IT infrastructure, and of course athletics. Certainly the main goal within athletics when we announced it was a transition to Division I athletics, and that got all the attention, but as an athletics director, I'm equally excited about the other things, and I think that on our campus, what you'll see and what you've found through the pandemic and where we are at today with our strategic plan is that the academic pillar and the athletic pillar come together. It all comes together, and so it's not just athletics on an island saying we want to do this and enrollment strategic scholarships doing this, is that it truly on our campus, it all works together. Great example during the pandemic when one of the academic programming goals was to find new academic programs. We started an MBA program, and how that impacted athletics in a huge way, because we had COVID seniors that could come back and compete for us again, and they had an opportunity to get a graduate degree that they didn't have before. So just one example that I always like to point to, that on our campus everything really works together. So yes, we started our strategic plan right in the middle of a pandemic, but we're still pleased to say we've accomplished a number of things that are in that.
Let's talk a little bit about those different pillars: academics, enrollment, athletics, physical campus, and IT. I can think back to when the announcement was made. Every conversation I found myself in where this topic came up, it all tied to Division I athletics.
Yeah.
And you said that. Do you feel as though, and does the leadership at Augustana feel as though that message now has been more clearly articulated out to the wider audience, so they understand that it's not just about Division I athletics, it is about this overarching kind of effort?
Yeah, and I would take a step back and say that, as any strategic plan, I think you find a number of ways to maybe pivot a little bit. And so when we started the conversation about adding hockey at the highest level, it was a chance for us to say, okay, we're going to add this program that is going to compete at Division I. We're still a Division II multi-sport, and we still feel like being a Division I multi-sport program is still our goal. We have till 2030, and so for these first two phases of the strategic plan, which takes us through 2026, we said we really want to crystallize it. We want to build a nationally competitive men's hockey program that competes at the highest level and win the Division II Directors Cup, which measures broad-based excellence. So we want to be the best Division II athletics department in America. It doesn't mean that we understand the shifting landscape in college athletics. If you've paid attention the last few months, it's gone even crazier, and it's going to continue to evolve. So Augustana needs to be responsive to that. However, our biggest two focuses are building that nationally competitive men's hockey program and being great at Division II.
Okay. You mentioned that you guys announced in January of 2020. Then we, of course, knew it took place shortly thereafter. That was an obstacle that nobody could have seen coming, of course. What other unexpected obstacles have you guys, as Augustana, had to face over the last year and a half?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think all of us, all of our, whatever our walks of life, experienced some sort of pandemic-related obstacle that probably hasn't stopped, right? No different for us, and I think the hardest part on the athletics front was we live to compete. We're competitors. We're really good at it, and we went a whole semester without being able to compete. Fall of 2020, our athletes didn't get to compete. We didn't compete till January 2nd of 2021. That was an obstacle, and how do you as a staff adjust, and how do your coaches adjust? How do your athletes adjust? And I'm incredibly proud of our department because we weathered that storm, and I think we came out better for it. And if for instance, our football team didn't get to compete in 2020, and they were better for it. Somehow the coaches found a way to become a better team without competing, which I give them a ton of credit for. So a lot of our sports were better because of the pandemic.
We've had folks from a few other universities come to this club and talk about what they faced during the early stages, mid stages of the pandemic. Can you maybe briefly touch on kind of how this all played out in your office?
Yeah.
The thought process, execution, and just some lessons learned.
Yeah, well, I use the line a lot because people would ask about decisions that we made, and I say, hey, it's my first pandemic. I don't know. I haven't dealt with this before. Everything from we had to figure out a way to test 450 athletes. The NCAA came down with protocols, and we had to find a way to do it, whether it was in the budget, and it was in nobody's budget to test. How do you do that? We had no clue, but we very quickly found a way to do it. I give a ton of credit to our athletes for buying in, and there were pretty strict protocols, and they adhered to them as best they could. And no doubt we weathered some storms along the way, but I think it was just, the testing was the biggest thing, trying to figure out how to be safe and to compete safely. We had no fans for a couple of weekends, and that's hard. That's hard to tell parents you can't watch your kid. And I got some phone calls for it, but it was the right thing to do to try to the biggest thing we wanted to do was compete, and so we had to find ways to do it and do it safely. But I just think the things that you don't budget for. So there's the budget piece of it. Luckily, we have such great support. I see some people here who are part of that, and so we were able to weather that too. But yeah, I think it's just the unknowns that were constant. That you felt like you checked one box and another 6 boxes would fall into place that you didn't even have time to think about. But I think it also galvanizes a department. We took advantage a little bit of no competition, and so we did some really extensive, as a staff, diversity, equity, and inclusion work. We had monthly courageous conversations within our department that were really, really, we had a trainer on our staff, our head volleyball coach, Jen Jacobs, walk us through it. We learned a ton on DEI work, and then Tony mentioned the philosophy statement that we came up with that really became final during the pandemic. We took a group and a work group that was able to really put into words what we think our mission is. So yeah, I think I think when I look back, it's a group that came together and had to work together to accomplish everything during the pandemic.
I think I know the answer to the question, but do you feel as though the Augustana Athletic Department team, the team that kind of keeps the train on the track, is stronger post-pandemic?
Yeah, no, absolutely, I do. And I think we're seeing it through the competitive excellence of our team so far, and I think we'll see it throughout the rest of this year.
So we have a new variant that is out there and seems to be getting dicier and dicier all the time. Can you maybe talk about that? Is there conversations, contingency planning efforts kind of going into place? God forbid something.
It hit us in the face last week. Our men's basketball game in Winona was canceled on Saturday, the first conference competition that's canceled this academic year. It was their COVID protocols, not ours. And so I'm afraid, and we all, I watch TV, I watch sports TV a lot. The whole scroll all weekend was games canceled, and so it makes me very nervous. But the NCAA, we adjusted protocols going into this year, where treating unvaccinated very different than vaccinated. Those of us who are vaccinated don't have to go through any testing, and we're at about 90% of our athletes that are vaccinated. So as it is right now, they don't have to test unless symptomatic, of course, and then it's about keeping everybody safe. But yeah, I know as a conference we touched on it last week, knowing how fast things are moving. We take a mandatory break here. Our women's basketball team plays tonight, and then we don't have any competitions until January 2nd. So they go home for 7 days and come back. That always makes you nervous when people leave from other communities, come back. So we'll, working with Susie on our campus has been tremendous, and working very closely, because again, in our campus, everything works together. So our athletic training staff's been awesome. Susie and her team have been terrific. We're all have to be in contact about what's going on, so that we can, because at the end of the day, we not only do we want to compete, but we want to learn in class. So the two have to be safe together.
Okay. There has been a lot of cultivation efforts on the part of Viking Bold and the direction Augustana has taken to reach 2030. Before we start now diving into Division I hockey and women's lacrosse and some of the other things you have going on, I am interested to hear from you. How has the community and how has the alumni received this Viking Bold strategic direction? How jacked up are they?
Well, I would start by saying that there's some pretty big goals if you look through Viking Bold, and the only reason that we can think that we can accomplish them is because we are here. We feel like we are the premier institution in this city, and this city's economic, dynamic economy, people who care, is the reason why we can focus on such big things. So I think especially the last 8 months have been incredibly energizing, affirming, just the positive energy that's out there. I think our alums are appreciative of the work that's been done and the vision that we have for the university. So it's been phenomenal.
Awesome. Let's talk about some new sports that you guys have announced throughout the course of 2021, and that is women's lacrosse, Division II, and then Division I hockey. I think Division I hockey is probably going to take quite a bit of time. But I want to talk about women's lacrosse. It's not a sport you see played a lot around here. Can you talk about how you've paved the path to this sport?
Yeah.
And what that means for the university?
Yeah. So we, always looking for ways to differentiate ourselves and be the first. And so it actually started with acrobatics and tumbling. At the same time, Title IX and gender equity being foundational to everything we do as an athletic department. And so finding opportunities for women. And so it started with acrobatics and tumbling, which will start competing next year. It's an emerging sport in the NCAA. If you just have a chance to go on YouTube and just search acrobatics and tumbling, it's pretty phenomenal. It's a fun sport to watch, kind of a combination between competitive cheer and gymnastics. Our head coach is in place. We'll start competing next academic year. But Kaylin Cowan comes to us from Baylor University. And so really excited about that sport, first of all. And then women's lacrosse. We had been vetting women's lacrosse as we looked for these opportunities. We added men's swimming and diving this year. So women's lacrosse made sense in that, I kind of the sport of lacrosse is like this on the coast, West Coast, East Coast, and it's just kind of coming for us. And so we wanted to be at the forefront of that. And seeing the numbers in Minnesota, the high schools in Minnesota, I think being a private school in our community, it just made a ton of sense. We're going to have a great relationship with the local club team. Have had good conversations so far, and there's a lot of synergies for us for that. And it just made a lot of sense the more we vetted it out as a great opportunity. When you look at down in Omaha, in Kansas City, that the opportunities are there in high school, and so we were providing that collegiate opportunity. So
how many teams play? How many women's lacrosse teams are there in there?
There's about at the Division II level, there's about 100, and that's changed in the last 5-10 years. It's remarkable how much it's grown. Okay. Yep.
Talk about a little bit about recruitment efforts. Where do you find lacrosse players that can play at the collegiate level?
Yeah, I think the state of Minnesota will be a big area for us. I said down in Omaha, it's basically just like most of our sports. If you draw a 350-mile circle around our campus, certainly maybe not in our state yet, but if you go down to Omaha, dip down to Kansas City, and then the Twin Cities, and then throughout Minnesota, will be good areas. But then, like our swim program has shown, boy, we get athletes from all over, international athletes. And so I think there's the opportunity when you're in acrobatics and tumbling. We signed young athletes from state of Washington, Nevada, California. So that's also appealing to us, that we can bring people in from outside the region to experience Sioux Falls and Augustana.
So remind me, when will the women's lacrosse team start playing?
23-24. So they're a spring sport, and they're on the same timeline as men's hockey.
Okay. So one more school year before we can start seeing them in action and playing. Okay, good. Okay, Division I hockey. Big announcement. We were talking at the table. It's something that's been in the works for a long time. I honestly am not a big hockey guy, but I'm coming around.
You're going to be.
Can you talk about how this started? Take us back to the beginning and how you feel about things now.
I would go back to, I think, my first week on campus, and President Herstess-Sandlin asked me, hey, what do you think about Division I hockey for us? And I said, wow, I think it's great. It's a great sport, great community sport. I said, it's really expensive. So fast forward, Dr. Holman and Stephanie had a chance to pitch T. Denny Sanford on some ideas to invest in Augustana. Eyes lit up at hockey. So we went about finding others to join, and we're blown away by the excitement in our community and investment from our community. So then we knew it was going to get out. It was going to leak out that, yes, we are starting. We did a lot of due diligence behind the scenes, but we knew it was going to get out. We wanted to be prepared with a statement, but we didn't expand on it at all. We just acknowledged that we're doing it. So because we wanted to have those other investors along with us. And so finally in October, able to have a ceremonial groundbreaking for Midco Arena. And so between probably mid-April to October 5th of 2021 was just an incredible journey to get us to one point. But I think I told you at the table that, this summer, as I was thinking about adding hockey in 2023, we knew the dates. I was thinking, okay, 27 months. Yeah, we got 27 months. Well, now we have 22 months. And that calendar just keeps going like this. So it's been incredible, and every day, multiple fronts. You know, our priorities for this academic year related to men's hockey are 3 things, with a 4th thing that will never stop, and that's fundraising. That will always be there. But the other, we're going to hire a head coach this year. That head coach will be in place in May of 2022, so they can have a year to recruit and build a program. We need to finalize the designs on Midco Arena, and we're getting close there. It's exciting, about targeting 3,300 seats, first-class venue. We took a trip last weekend to Colorado College. They just built a similar size facility, so getting ideas from a number of different places. But finalizing the designs on Midco Arena, that'll be at 33rd and Grange, across from the Elman Center, real beacon on our campus. And then the third piece is conference affiliation. And so you can operate as an independent, and we could, and that's fine. Arizona State, Long Island, and Alaska Anchorage right now are independents in college hockey, but we prefer to have a conference. And so we are actively seeking and have had wonderful conversations. And I would say that when you join a conference, it's all about the value that you bring. And the community of Sioux Falls, having an on-campus arena in our own academic and athletic excellence are huge for us, and are we're attractive to conferences. And we've had great conversations, and it's because of, it's interesting, college hockey community knows Sioux Falls because of the Stampede. They've all come here to recruit. So we have really have a leg up on others who may want to do this.
And how many teams play Division I?
62.
62 teams.
Yes, 62 compete at the highest level, and that's why as a Division II multi-sport, you can compete at the highest level of Division I hockey. You satisfy some scheduling and eligibility requirements, which we plan on doing, and there's no transition period. You're eligible right away, and so we're incredibly excited.
I apologize if everybody in this room knows how this process works. I don't. Can you walk through the process of finding a conference and what that looks like to get in?
Again, it's all about the value. And at the end of the day, if you back up to the finish line, it's conference decisions are made by presidents. So presidents vote. Typically, it's 75% need to vote in favor. And so first would be kind of information sharing. Here's who we are, here's who they are, and then a site visit on campus so they can see it for their own eyes, a subset of people, not the whole conference, a subset of people, and then likely make a formal presentation and eventually get to a vote. So it's a goal for us this academic year, which is ambitious for a startup program, but again, because of all those things I said, I feel like we're in a really, really good place.
Okay. How critical, maybe it's not, I mean, you mentioned that there are a few universities that are not members of a conference. I mean, how important is a conference to the success of the program? Yeah,
2 things. I think scheduling, because you typically have 34, well, you can't have more than 34 regular season games. So when you're an independent, that means you're scheduling all your games and trying to find when teams aren't in their conference play to schedule. Now, I've already talked to Arizona State. They're willing to play us as many times back and forth because they're in the same boat. So there's the scheduling piece, but then also just you want to give your athletes something to play for. You want to play for a championship. That's what we do. So that's and it'll help us in hiring a head coach as well. The fact that you have a secure conference.
Okay. And then how far in advance of the season starting do you really need to have the conference? Do you need to be in?
Yeah, schedules are made these days in all sports. It's crazy. I'm talked to a Big Ten school last week about coming here to play, and we'd be their last bit of scheduling for the year in 2023.
Wow, so they're that far out already.
Yep.
No pressure.
No, I know. That's one of the things that keeps me up at night. But.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the boldness of the strategy and for really trying to stand out. It's becoming a real sport around here. I remember when I moved to Sioux Falls 20 years ago, you couldn't find anybody that played hockey, and now you know everybody. A lot of people that have hockey kids.
Yeah.
So
I give credit to the Iceplex is kind of proof that if you build it, they will come. I think the numbers have been just going like this since the Iceplex came online. The Stampede, of course, have had great success competitively and attendance-wise. So we feel like we're adding to that, not taking away from anybody, but we're just adding to continue to elevate the sport. And I did a NHL Network has a college hockey radio show on Sirius, and I did it a couple weeks ago. And I told the interviewer, I said, I'm not that far from the border of Minnesota. People don't realize, you know,
Yeah.
that when they don't know geography that well, right? Especially in South Dakota. So we're so close to what the state that's considered the state of hockey.
Yeah.
That's just great opportunity for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, so Viking Bold, we got a number of years before 2030, but you know it'll be here quickly. A lot of exciting things have been announced just in the last 2 years since the original announcement was made. Would you mind giving us a sneak peek into what 2023 is going to look like?
Yeah, maybe I'm going to start with 2022.
2020, yeah, I'm sorry, 22.
Don't be
2022.
thinking too far ahead,
I'm not
Jason.
in 2023 yet. 2022.
1 year at a time. Well, I know for us athletically, when you drive by 33rd Street through our campus, you'll see extensive renovation to Bowden Field, our softball complex. I am so excited for our softball athletes. I'm wearing their championship ring today. Their field has not been indicative of the program that Greta Melstead has built, and to be able to have, it'll be the best softball facility in our region, hands down. And they deserve it, and I cannot wait to open that in 2022. Now, we need a good winter so that they can open on time, but it will open in 2022, and I cannot wait for them to take the field for the first time to host an NCAA regional on our way to the road to another national championship. That's huge for us. On our campus, we'll also open a residence hall, a new residence hall for the first time in 50 years.
Wow.
There's not a lot of schools that are building dorms right now, and we're proud to say we're one of them. Just to be able to offer that when it fits that enrollment and strategic scholarships piece of our strategic plan. Wonderful as an athletic director for our teams as they recruit too. Yeah, just continue to add that. The academic programs too are incredibly exciting. We just opened the Midco Media Center on campus. Again, a differentiator for us. So we have a multimedia entrepreneurship program that is really an original program that for someone who wants to be a part of, whether it's the music industry or some sort of technical production, they get hands-on experience. And selfishly, as the athletics director, so Midco ran fiber to all of our facilities so we can plug in and have broadcast quality live streams from all of our facilities because of this agreement. And it's run on a one central control room, and it is awesome. And I can't wait till we have students in the program because there'll be free labor. But we'll give them experiential learning. But it's one of those things that will again really, we feel like really set us apart.
I'm glad you brought up academics, and it would be a shame on me if I didn't address it. Augustana is known for the academic quality of the institution. It just is, always has been. But Augustana really stands out in the conference that you're in.
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about that and some of the milestones you guys have hit?
Yeah, we have to, Tony read off the numbers, and we have to update them, academic All-Americans. It's phenomenal. So this fall, I think one of the proudest moments that I've ever had, the NCAA does it's called the NCAA Woman of the Year. The NCAA Woman of the Year. So if you think about the NCAA, there's probably 200,000 women that compete across Division I, Division II, Division III. Call it a couple 100,000. 535 athletes were nominated for the Woman of the Year, which measures competitive excellence, academic excellence, leadership, and service. 535 nominated, down to 9 finalists. Our own Kendall Cornick, who's in medical school at the University of Iowa, was our softball athlete, won a national championship for us. She was one of the 9 finalists. So we all gathered, not knowing who the winner was. We gathered virtually as a virtual celebration. She was in Iowa City. Her team and I and some others were together on campus at a viewing party, and we really weren't sure. But all of a sudden, they get to the end of the program, they announce the winner, and it's Kendall Cornick, Augustana University.
Oh, wow.
NCAA Woman of the Year. Unbelievable. And so she's symbolic of the kind of athletes that we recruit. Everything, Kirby Ora, who's now in med school at USD, he'll be our future team doctor. We're just so fortunate. We lead our league every year in all academic awards. Our coaches do an amazing job of recruiting the right kind of student because it's hard. The academic rigor on our campus is different. And to be able to do that and be an athlete at that high a level is not easy. And I'm blown away by our athletes and how they do it. But yeah, the awards keep coming, and I give our coaches a ton of credit for finding the right students to come here. At the same time, from my chair, I love it when, because of the rigor of our campus, I love it when a young person, maybe they're not on the dean's list, maybe they're not getting any of these academic awards, but they walk across the stage with a diploma, and maybe we took a chance on them, and they succeeded. And along the way, they were competitively excellent too. That's just as good too. But yeah, we do have a lot of academic awards. It's hard.
Yeah, well, I give you a lot of kudos, and I give the university a lot of kudos. I mean, there's only so much energy and money, and to be able to do both well is certainly something that needs to be applauded. And we need to surface that as part of this discussion, because I mean, it really, the numbers stand out, and they do tell a story of what Augustana is about.
Yeah, and I hope that people don't see it as something that we're just kind of talk about, because we have to live it. We do, and our Student Success Center on campus, for all of our students, is such a great program. And so Tim Holman is our academic advisor for our athletes, and he does a phenomenal job, because we have those students that need help. They need help, and so he's there to help and help them navigate it too. So yeah, we have a lot of support on campus to make sure that we keep it up.
Good. Well, we got a few more minutes, and I thought I would give our guests some time and our members some time to ask some questions. So if there are any questions, we'll have a mic circulating around while we're doing that. Josh, do you have any other comments you want to say that we should maybe?
No, but Tony mentioned I started in Sioux Falls, so one quick story. So imagine I'm coming to interview for the AD job at Augustana. I'm in East Lansing, Michigan. I'm at the airport, and I get a text from my mom, and it's a picture of this baby in an Augustana College t-shirt, big bald baby, and it was me. And I was like, oh man, like coming full circle. So I used that in my materials.
That's good. That's good. That is a great story.
Yeah.
Is there any questions for Josh? Got one over here, Jesse.
Josh, as a band parent, I know that Augie's brought band back.
Yes.
And we have some of our O'Gorman alumni are on the Augie band. How has that been for them to be integrated back into Augie?
Thank you for bringing that up. It was also one of the real highlights for me of the fall. I'm not ashamed to say that I think I had a tear in my eye when the band came out on the field for the first time, because to me it was a lot of work by a lot of people. Our School of Music, our Dean of School of Music, Peter Folliard. But to have a marching band on our campus and to be as good as they were to start, that first September Saturday, man, nothing beats it. It was awesome. So it added to our game experience. From my perspective, it was, finding ways to elevate the fan experience. We had a beer garden this year for the first time. So the beer band, and a great football team. It was a pretty good combination.
Josh, is it possible that you'll be playing North Dakota State, or Duluth, or University of Minnesota, even if you're independent, or are you going to try to join a conference like that so that we have a regional competition?
Yeah, no, great question. The short answer is yes. There's really two conferences in our footprint, the NCHC and the CCHA, and whichever one we're able to land in, the other offers awesome non-conference opportunities. So absolutely, I've had conversations with my alma mater, North Dakota. I know we'll have them in Sioux Falls at some point. Have also had good conversations with my former employer at Michigan State and others. To get the Gophers here will be a big deal, and we look forward to finding a way to do that for sure. So yeah, it's part of the appeal of the whole thing, is to be able to think of, could we have, we'll compete against Ivy League schools. For a school that prides itself on the academic rigor that we have, to be able to compete against a Harvard or a Princeton or a Brown would be a big deal for us too. So yeah, no, we look forward to the regional competition and a lot of bus trips, which on the budget side is really good too. I don't think we're going to get an invite to the Big Ten. This isn't recorded, is it? Sometimes the Big Ten is a little arrogant. So
it is recorded. They'll be fine.
That's right. But I don't know. I heard there are 2 other schools in the state, right? There's one in Brookings and one in Vermilion. Is that? So I would say if you're a Jackrabbit or a Coyote, you can cheer for Augustana hockey. Just wear blue. That's okay. All right.
I think I get by without the mic. Talk to us about the season tickets and how that selection process is going.
Yeah.
And what can I do to get my name up the list?
Terrific. Yes, we can talk. I got all sorts of ways. So we do have a season ticket interest list, and it's on our website, goaugie.com. If you go to the men's hockey section, it's a form that we want to know who's interested, so we can keep communicating with the right people. But yeah, the short synopsis, we'll have this rolled out by probably next fall, a year ahead of time. But essentially, because we feel like it's going to be the hottest ticket in town, we're going to plan for it like it is. And A-Club memberships will be the foundation. So the A-Club is our annual fund, and it's really the engine that helps us go. It's the financial support of A-Club members helps our department run day to day. And so A-Club membership, everyone will have to be an A-Club member in order to get season tickets. And then we'll base it on what we rolled out a couple years ago, Viking priority points, which measure giving and alumni status too. But there's no necessarily objective way to let seat selection happen without having a point system in place. And so that's what we'll roll all that out within the next year and finalize some details and things. And certainly the final design of the facility will play a role just based on how many seats are in the bowl, how many we designate for students, and all those kind of decisions. But yeah, we do have a season ticket interest list, so it's on our website, goaugie.com.
Got one more.
When Jason asked you earlier a little bit about scaling and the point systems for Division II athletics, why don't you just give everybody a little insight on the Learfield process
thanks,
and
Bill.
how we've ranked on that, Josh?
Yeah, thanks, Bill. So the Learfield Directors Cup is awarded at Division I, Division II, Division III, and it basically measures broad-based excellence, and you get points for how your teams compete nationally. And so we were during the COVID year, we were 6th in the country when COVID hit, and that was before our spring sports. And you know, Tony mentioned our success of our baseball, softball. We feel like we would have been in the hunt to win the Directors Cup, which is just phenomenal because it's a national competition and it measures broad-based excellence. And so, for instance, we go into the winter leading our conference. So if we stand at the top of our conference standings for all sports right now based on our finishes. And usually that's a pretty good precursor to how you're going to do nationally. If you can be atop the NSIC, then you're going to be in the mix here nationally. So if but it basically measures broad-based excellence, points given for postseason appearances, and how your teams compete, and then finish in the postseason. Thanks for asking that. Appreciate it.
Question. All right.
Thank you.
Josh, thank you.
Thanks.
Josh, we can put a check next to educational and insightful, and also put a check next to energetic, passionate, and visionary. So appreciate you being here, and when Augustana wins, so does Sioux Falls. So appreciate what you and the team at Augustana is doing to move the university and move our community forward. Looking ahead, we will not meet next Monday. We hope you're with your family, your friends, celebrating the holiday. We'll not meet January 3rd. Our next meeting back here will be 3 weeks from today, January 10th. We are going to have Dr. Joe Santos here from another university in South Dakota, up the road out of South Dakota State University, to talk about inflation and a number of other factors when it comes to the economy. I do want to, and he's here today, Rock and Roll for Hope is going to happen. It's going to happen February 12th. For those of you who are Rotarians, you know that Rotary West has championed this effort for Hope Haven International wheelchairs for decades. See Dwayne walk if you're interested in a table or in getting a seat in support of that effort. Otherwise, thanks again. I want to ask you to give both Josh and Jason one more round of applause, and we'll send you on your way. With that, Rotary is adjourned. Have a great weekend. Merry Christmas.